Welcome back to Publicized Theory podcast. I am your host, Anthony Ocasio, and if you are new here, you are listening to a podcast where I talk about self mastery, self development, and concepts where we can all become the best version of ourselves. I dive into my experiences, how I have overcome internal battles, internal struggles, life experiences that most of us have gone through and will continue to go through as we go through this journey called life. So, again, thank you all for tapping in with me to another episode. If this episode resonates with you, please do not hesitate to subscribe, follow the podcast, and if you can, leave me a rating. Let me know your thoughts, good, bad, or indifferent. All feedback is much appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now let's dive into this week's episode of Publicized Theory. Let's go. We are back with another episode of Publicized Theory. My apologies. Last week we did not have an episode, but we are back this week with another episode of Publicized Theory. Hoping everyone has had an amazing week. I hope the week is still going great. And if that is the opposite for you, just continue to stay locked in. Continue to know that better days are on the way. Continue to keep the faith. Stay strong. We all go through our ups and downs, and that's not belittling what you're going through. Just saying that we all will have to overcome things, and maybe it's your time to overcome something. So stay strong, stay positive, stay in the moment, and continue to fight through everything that is coming your way. I have a great episode in stored today, being inspired by obviously things that I'm going through in the process of reflecting, the process of being introspective, the process of trying to identify flaws or areas of concern, even though that sounds a bit harsh, but areas of weakness. Where can I grow? Where can I get better? Where are my blind spots? What are the things that I need to hone in on right now and the things that I need to be super focused on and intentful on to get the results that I'm looking for, to break through and finally be in a consistent state of momentum that allows me to continue to reap the rewards that my work will give me, but that I will be blessed with in the long run. And I know that we all are going through the journey called life with so many different expectations, whether it's our job, whether it's elevating in our field, whether it's personal goals, buying your mom a house, buying your parents a house, retiring your mom, going on vacations, so many expectations that we may place on ourselves in so many different areas of life. It doesn't even have to be monetarily. It can just be the normal, everyday, basic activities in life. A lot of the times, the expectations, whether they get hit or not, it leads to a feeling of joy or a feeling of disappointment, being happy or being sad or being down and depressed that things are not going your way because the expectations were not met, because the expectations were not delivered in a timely fashion or in the time and place and space that you thought it would. With being introspective, and it's something that I myself can be better at in terms of trying to really understand myself in times where I'm maybe thinking about things in ways that I shouldn't be thinking about them in, or acting in a way that goes past how I think I should be acting, if that makes sense. I'm trying to reword it better, but being able to audit and assess our day to day lives and ask ourselves the tough questions, the questions that will hit home for us in terms of why we do certain things. What from our childhood may be plaguing us right now in our decision making, in our thought process, in our mindset? What are some things that we endured in our adult life or in our childhood that may be a reason why we're acting out or we're acting a certain way or we're not being able to push through the same problem over and over and over again? What are those things? What may be internally holding us back from touching, feeling, experiencing, living the life that we want to live? Oftentimes, that deals in the realm of being introspective, that deals in the realm of trying to understand what it is internally that you are going through. How are you feeling in moments where you're not performing your best? Why are you feeling those feelings? What was the reason those feelings were even there to begin with? So many nitty gritty questions that I feel we may brush off and not really try to understand in the moment or in general, whether it's after it's happened or whether it's during the time it's happening. But what are some of the perks and rewards of being introspective? One, you get to learn about yourself more importantly. You're able to be introduced to a side of you and get to understand a side of you that in some ways may be a hindrance to where you want to go and the things that you want to do. And this is very true for me right now as an aspiring, long term, profitable day trader. It's a journey that I've been going on. It's a journey that has really sparked a lot of the self development, self improvement, self mastery type of work in me because I realized that it's so much bigger than me. The goals that I have are very lofty goals. The goals that I have never really has been done in my bloodline in terms of just the vision, the dream, the life changing legacy type of stuff that I really want to accomplish while I'm here on this earth. And it's a gradual process over the years. And even prior to trading, it's always a gradual process because through time, you're learning, you're growing, you're understanding new things, you're experiencing new things, you're meeting new people. You're always learning from the time you're born into the time we leave this earth. We're always learning something. We may not acknowledge it as something new that we've learned, but we still acknowledge that we are being experienced in new things, new information, new people. With that being said, being introspective is at the heart of all of that because how can we understand what it is we need to learn or what we did learn if we're not going back and analyzing the information and analyzing what we can do better and analyzing our weaknesses and analyzing our flaws if we have any, which we all do, but looking at things from a glass half full perspective, where are the areas that we can achieve better greatness? And the power of being introspective allows us to get closer to that, allows us to have those breakthroughs, allows the environment and the place and the space for things to actually happen for us because we're in the process of arriving to the places that we want to be at. And as I become more introspective, and even if you feel like you are, and even if you feel like you take time to think about things, are we asking the right questions? Are we digging deep into the root cause of every issue? A lot of the time, we may feel like we are because we keep it very simple. I did this because of X. Okay, but what made you want to do that to begin with? What was the cause of the X? Okay, so I did X because I lived through this. Okay, so you have to understand that the things that you experience and that you live through may have residual impacts on how you're acting now. And you have to analyze and assess whether that's serving the purpose that you wanted to serve in that moment for the new you, or it's just placing you back into a place that you already evolved from. It's easy to feel like we're progressing because we're not allowing ourselves to make the same mistakes. But are we allowing traumatic experiences or thoughts that were not originated by us to seep into how we act, how we maneuver, how we go our day to day lives in trying to achieve the things that we want to achieve? I feel like we all should be introspective on a daily basis because on a daily basis, we have different intents on how we want the day to go. Are we actually waking up with specific intentions to begin with? Life can become very mundane when we're just going through the motions and getting up, doing the same thing over and over, getting up, doing the same thing, coming back home, doing the same thing. How does that allow us to actually be introspective when we've cultivated a comfortability aspect in our day-to-day lives that doesn't really allow us to foster growth within our lives because we get fixated on the one thing that we're doing each and every day where that is the root of our satisfaction for that day? Where are the other intents within our day that allows us to grow, that allows us to have moments and opportunities to be introspective because we put ourselves in a position that caused us to think new thoughts, caused us to look at something completely different, caused us to identify mistakes and errors and flaws within our ways and our mindset and our thought process? Are we being intentful each and every day with the journey that we want to be on, the goals that we have? What are your intentions each and every day? I try to wake up every day and have an intent to, it sounds broad, but be the best version I can be. If I'm faced with a situation, what is the best version of Anthony that would allow this situation to work out in a positive way, albeit there may be negative impacts, but in a positive way? What can I do each and every day that would allow me to get better in that area? If I'm impacted by a random scenario each and every day, what is the best version of Anthony that can go through that situation in a positive light? How can I learn from it? How can I grow from it? How can I use it moving forward when a similar situation may come about in my life? What are my intents? Obviously, my intent is to get closer to my goals, but how am I being intentful throughout the day to actually make that happen? And am I being swayed in any direction for those things not to happen? And when I am participating in those activities or those actions that I define as moving with intent and being intentional, am I doing it with the right mindset? Am I doing it with the right approach? Am I doing it with the right attitude? So again, there are so many different elements to trying to make this thing all work, aka our mind. Having the right mindset, having the right approach, having the right attitude, being able to express gratitude for everything that is happening now, good, bad, and ugly. I genuinely believe being able to be introspective, being able to reflect, being able to assess each and every day how our intentions were carried out, what were the results of those intentions, and if we did not follow through on the intentions that we set for that day or that week or that month, why did we not fulfill those intentions? Why did we not course correct and self correct while those things were going on? What were the hindrances? What was the thought processes? What were the feelings that spiraled and continued the momentum of not actually doing what we said we were going to do? A great perk of being introspective, a great perk of understanding why we are the way we are and why we think the way we think and why we move the way we move. And I hope that all of us can become more introspective. I hope that all of us can become more reflective and refined and polished so that we can understand who we are just a bit more. We can understand why we do things just a bit more. We can understand why we feel the feelings that we feel each and every day or every so often so that we can ultimately become the best person we can be. And we may not be the best version we can be until everything's all said and done. We're always going to be learning. We're always going to be growing and aspiring to be better. And when we are the best version of ourselves, it may be towards the tail end of our journey here on earth, but it's a lifelong journey and one that we accept. Think about that over the weekend. How can you become more introspective? How can you have defined intentions? How can you be more intentional with your movements, intentional with your actions, intentional with your thoughts, intentional with your practices, intentional with the things that you want out of life? And ask yourself the questions: why am I continuing to resort to the same way of thinking? Why am I continuing to resort to the same way of life? Why am I continuing to resort to the same comfortability levels that really are not going to get me where I want to go? Those are just some questions that you can ask yourself. You know yourself more than I do, but begin to think about some of those things while you're being introspective, while you're reflecting, while you're digging deep into who you are, who you're becoming, and the person you are each and every day when you're trying to achieve the things that you want to achieve. Thank you for tapping in with me to this episode. I appreciate every listener. As always, if this episode resonates with you, please don't hesitate to share it. Give it a like, give me a rating on Spotify, Apple. And if you're on YouTube, you can always comment, like, share as well. The podcast continues to grow. We reach new parts of the world. We're in Nigeria, we're in Germany, we're in Morocco. Obviously, we're in the United States. So thank you to all the listeners out there from America, from various parts of the world. It is greatly appreciated. Let's all be introspective. Let's all find ways to grow. And until next time, stay safe, stay blessed.